meeting of the Community Housing Board. So the first item is we're going to review the minutes. So everybody just take a moment.
Do that tree.
Anyone feel like have any notes or feel like they want to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. So approved. All right. Awesome. Will you let me know when Miriam joins? Okay. Well, so I'm going to move around the agenda until. Hey, Meg. Nice. We're just going to move around the agenda until Miriam joins, and then when she joins, we'll go right into the RFQ.
Okay, great.
All right. So I want to just give a quick update on the fund. We had about $11,000 coming into the fund this month. So, which pushed us over 700,000. So we're at 706. So that's great. The next item that I wanted to go through, actually, I might do these a little bit out of order because I came right from the holiday concert, so I'm a little frazzled. Okay, so the next item is I'm going to skip to the, you know, who we had applied for that grant for the housing survey.
Yes.
So, and there was like back and forth, blah, 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 blah. So we don't have it, but we put in, so the application is in for it.
Good.
So there was like much back and forth, but it's in. So
Great.
I'm really excited.
What's the turnaround time? Like when will they
I
come to a conclusion?
think it's probably like, Meg, what do you think? Like, I would say like 4 to
6 months.
4 to 6 months.
Something like that. It's a block grant, so it depends
Got it.
on when they finish reviewing and issuing.
Got it.
So
Okay.
not
But there,
positive.
yeah, but there is a bunch of money put aside for planning and housing, which is why we put in for this.
Yeah.
And we don't need it for like a year and a half, 2 years. So
Perfect.
that's why we're,
Yeah, we can
We're ahead of
apply
the
for it
game.
multiple times if we have to.
yeah. So we got to put it in. So it's in, feeling good.
That's great.
I'm going to go through the easy ones. So we, I wanted to give you guys a zoning update. So just as a reminder for everybody, I know we've been working with Miriam on the RFQ, but we do have another lawyer who's working with us on zoning for the South Ferry site because of the density there. And so we couldn't start the ZBA application, which is what we need to do until we got the building permit denial letter. So that's been in play for a couple months. So we just got it this week. So I just sent it to the zoning lawyer and we're starting the process with ZBA, and I'll probably have an initial meeting with them just to see what the process is going to be next week. And then I also just kind of wanted to Bran, I think, were you going to work with me on it?
Sure.
You want to work with me on it? Okay. I was like, it wasn't like in play yet. So like,
I think I volunteered for that.
I think you did. I was like, I might be making that up, but maybe, no, you just volunteered.
Yeah.
So why don't I have that initial meeting and then I'll loop you in so that like, there's like 2 of us that know what's going on with the
Okay.
zoning.
Yep.
But that's going to be in play next.
Great.
So that's great. I'm hoping Miriam is coming. All right. So I will just do the last update. The ADUs are going well. We have a few more interest forms, and so those are in play. Let's see. I have this as anyway, I don't have the most updated one next to us with me here, But we are doing every other week calls
Okay.
with CDCLI. Peter's on them. Mark joins us sometimes. We can, and it's going fantastically. Like I said, at the last meeting, we have the first completed ADU +1 in the state. And I was actually just over at Mary and Jimbo's today, and I think we might have the second too.
Cool.
Because they're really close. So I
Nice.
took a look at it. They're just putting the kitchen together.
Yeah, is that the
Um,
blue one that's next to their house?
Exactly.
Great,
Yeah. So
great.
they're really close. The carpenters are in there working. You got to put together the.
It went up pretty fast, I think.
It went great. Yeah, and it looks wonderful.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far we are out from. They're doing some finished work, but at this rate, it's also possible we might have the second one completed in the state.
Amazing.
So we ran an ad 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, what is it? A few weeks ago, we ran an ad, and so there has been some interest. So we also have another round of applications that
Okay.
are behind this. So it's been really good. We have, I think I mentioned that we have county septic money that has now gotten freed up, and we have an application process. So we have several of the applicants who
Right, who needed that?
needed that to kind of get to the,
To the
like,
next stage?
yeah, like they just needed like a little bit more cash to make it
Mhm.
happen. So we figured out how to open up, like how to put in the applications before the county really gets started.
Great.
And so that's in play. So I'm pleased and I'm feeling good about our progress. So we're also, I think,
Very
probably one of the
encouraging.
furthest along in the state,
It's
so.
fantastic. It is
That's
really fantastic.
so feeling good about that. Now, I do not see Miriam here, but I think we're just gonna get into it.
Yeah.
Because I don't wanna have us take too long. So this is what I was thinking. We are gonna go through the RFQ. I'm gonna take notes on this, and then I'm also gonna re-watch the recording. Yeah, this is an RFQ if you don't have one in front of you. No worries. And then,
I have.
do you have one? You want to give one to David?
Yeah.
Okay.
You give me,
Um,
put my notes.
yeah, so let's talk about like the process of how we're gonna do this. What I was thinking we could do is read through this. There's a lot of it that we already know.
Yeah.
We're gonna make notes. I will make notes as we go. I'll watch the video again to get another round of notes to make sure I captured everything. Bill and I are gonna make a time to meet with Miriam next week to consolidate all those notes. And so the first thing, actually, maybe what we'll do, instead of potentially reading through it, has everybody read this?
No. I mean, when was I supposed to, but where was it?
Oh, we sent it like 2 cycles ago. in the email.
As the queue? Or
Yeah,
As the,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, has everybody else read it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm the only one.
okay. So,
I'm a fast.
so there's 2 ways we could do it. Either we could read through this, or we can start with the notes that I've been already given. Does anybody have a preference or a feeling or a suggestion?
I would say
I would
notes.
say go with the notes.
Go to the
Yeah.
notes.
Agree with
Okay,
that.
let's go with the notes. All right, so I'm gonna see, I have everybody's in front of me. So if I miss your notes, let me know. So I'm gonna,
I just want to ask a quick question. I sent you some notes, but I also
Yes.
sent you an email with some additional language that might.
yeah, I have all that right in front of me. Thank you, Ben.
Okay, great.
So I'm gonna go over the big ones. I'm not gonna go through the spelling and grammar.
Yeah, please.
Cool,
Please.
just for all of our sanity, if
Yeah.
that's cool. So I'm gonna touch on the biggest parts. So I think that the first one, and we brought this up in the first time we looked at this, which is on the first page with the background. It says, we will provide the plans and preliminary site design.
Mhm,
It's the last sentence of the
mhm.
4th paragraph. And we definitely have some questions for Miriam in there. Several of you have suggested other language, basically asking, can we give the plans and preliminary site design? There was some discussion of maybe we couldn't, maybe we could. And so maybe we needed to redo the phrasing there to say that we've had a public input process. We can provide some initial input from the community. I do have several versions of language from any of you, but I will just tell you, that was like that was like the thing that came up. So my thought would be is I would take some of the language that everyone had given us and give it to Miriam to make it legal. But does that kind of, I just wanted to make sure that I was covering the main concept, which is just like, I don't know if we can give the actual designs, but like, how do we say that we've done this process and add them as in here?
It kind of lets them know that they don't have to go out and do field research on what the community likes. We've already done that part for them.
Yes.
We also don't have like complete sets of drawings yet.
Okay, cool.
But I guess the question is, right, it's a legal question. I thought the stick hold up was that we couldn't get them, we were back to square one where we couldn't pick. But we're not telling them they have to pick.
We're not saying that they have to pick, we're letting them know that
Yeah.
we've done a process.
I know.
Read from here what I did.
Yeah.
Read this, I rewrote this, I think.
This is your comment.
Yeah,
Yeah, Bill gave a great,
Mine was at 11:30.
yeah, it was, I understand,
It
right.
was a long read.
I think that works, it raises the community, and it doesn't say anything, yeah.
yeah, so I think there's, some version between, anyway, the many good edits that we've gotten in there. If you had a chance to take, I'm gonna just read Bill's edit. The Community Housing Committee has held public workshops and meetings with the public to understand and determine what styles of housing fits with the community character of the island. The public expressed a definitive preferences as to what fits and doesn't fit within the community character and what design aesthetics they prefer to see in housing. We will provide the information to assist with the design phase of the project. We will also provide surveys of the 3 properties.
Can be trimmed, but yeah,
So something, anyway, I think that
that's good.
wording like that kind of addresses where we're going with
Yeah.
it. I'm just gonna start with Bill's notes because they're right in front of me. Bill raises 2 financial issues. Where do we say we will work with a selected organization on potentially obtaining grants or other financial assistance? It is in here.
I've read it so many times, my brain got fuzzy on that.
Is it under technical?
It's in the note on page 5. It says the housing board will assist this in applying for county and local grants and other municipal financing sources on behalf of the development. So it is definitely in there.
Yeah,
it is.
And I think we actually have to keep that wording because that is wording that I got
Right, that's
from the
fine.
county.
Yep,
So that's gonna be probably what that is. It's not worth revisiting. I feel like that addresses it. I don't know if David I don't think we should mess with the model yet.
yeah, I was wondering if
Yeah, like
if
why?
we need to do another model.
Yeah. Steps finalizing,
Well, I-
reviewing the
I
RFP.
don't-
Yeah, we would love to get it done in January. My hope is that we have a pretty robust set of edits. This is basically our reworked RFP.
Yeah.
So most of this is,
So with his comments, which I liked,
Mhm.
does it prohibit us when we say we'll assist you? Or we'll,
We can share in a,
share
when we have our meetings with the various, we're going to have.
the vendors?
We're gonna have the bidders meetings. We can say, we showed the following to the public. They can still make their proposals. They can
On
see
any way they want.
Right.
Right.
But these are the ones that the public picked, and obviously do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Got
And
it.
then we also get to like vote on.
Yeah, we
Give
also
them
are
their
gonna give
Right,
them
right.
feedback.
If they come back and
Like
they're
our
like
rubric of-
A-frames and we're like,
You have to approve whatever their design is. So
Yeah.
if it's
We're
not
just-
something that
Yeah.
suits the palate, that's.
we're just saying that if it was close to these,
Yeah.
And if you can justify why you made your choices in designing it this way.
Right.
Meg had some good edits, you had asked, do we want to be more specific in services provided by the developer? I know you gave us edits to that. I did want to talk to Miriam about that. Some of that stuff she said was appropriate to put in the contract.
Absolutely.
So she basically, so, and so I would kind of defer to her on some of that is going to be negotiated. So you kind of want to give yourself a little room.
And that was, like, I would really wish you would do, because those kind of were my questions, is
Okay.
how much of this goes in the RFQ versus the contract?
Well, maybe you can join us on that call with her.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that, like I said, that was like kind of her initial feedback was just like, some of this you want to, like I said, give room to be negotiated.
Did you mention the point distribution? I think we need to revisit the point distribution for the evaluation criteria because it's kind of different now because
Yeah.
we now have design in there.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's,
That's
if it's,
right.
yeah, if it's okay, do you guys mind if I get through some of this
Yeah.
initial notes?
Oh, okay.
I just want to, I just have
Finish this,
everybody
and then we'll go.
Oh,
think.
that was at the top of the one that one you read. That's why you had skipped that, so.
the preliminary
I,
from Meg.
no, from when you started to read mine, you started,
Okay.
We haven't read yours yet.
I,
did.
all right, let's see. Oh,
I
yeah,
think
you're
we
right.
should, yeah.
The point distribution. It's okay, let me just finish hers,
Hers,
and then
yeah.
I've got a couple other people's I need to get through. Great, thank you for bringing that up.
I don't.
All right, so for the submission credentials, do we want to require the applicant to break down their response to to specify their credentials for each of the evaluation criteria? This is from Meg. I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
I would say I would just ask Miriam what the standard is here. I would say that as long as it's covered in their response, I'm a little bit agnostic to it. But again, I think that's a great question for Miriam. Okay, so let's go back to Bill's. So Bill says, I think we should revisit the point distribution for the evaluation criteria with both the committee and Miriam, as the criteria is somewhat different for the RFQ now that design is important. All right. So I would agree. Can't remember how we did it. We did it to, did it add up to 100? I don't even.
It added up to a weird number.
Added up to a weird number.
I remember
So,
that.
I guess what we would, it seems like, so I know I marked this as well for my notes, was the strength of, it feels like not only that first evaluation criteria, which is like the strength of the conceptual graphic design, so that we could like understand it should be higher, but then it also feels like to me that there needs to be just a whole other different line item. I don't know what we call it, design.
Well, we have the thing about knowledge of vernacular and familiarity with design wellness and eco-green design. We have three things that kind of constitute design, so.
But I think
They're
there should be-
submitting a specific design,
Design.
right? So
Yeah.
One, we have to give
Like
points.
it.
Do we like what they're proposing? And then I think the quality of the detail behind it. So I don't know if those are the same thing, but if they're submitting House B and then House B has to say how they're wiring it and what what fixtures and wiring there's going to be to a specific standard, right? Are those separate or
We
are
still
those
have
the
to do
same?
that?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's an important component now of what they're doing. I'd give it 20 points.
so we're basically talking about, and we're gonna lean on Miriam to give us the
Language.
actual language here, but basically, maybe for us, we would call it like the strength of the design. like between us? Would you say that, is that kind of what you're, or
Well,
you're
I'm
saying that?
One is, do we like aesthetics and do we
Yeah.
think it fits the community? And
Right,
then secondly, is your proposal detailed,
okay.
providing the level of information we need
So would you think
to
that,
back up
do,
where we're short,
right, so
we
like.
have a shortfall?
Right, so we have design and then we have strength of conceptual graphic representation. And since it's not really representation, do we want to say that maybe that one should be, maybe there should be one that's design and one that's like
Builder's plans, kind of.
builder's
I
plan.
don't know what it's called, but
Yeah.
But like,
I think that that's more of the contract. I think the original is they're gonna give you like a conceptual design,
Yeah.
and you're gonna kind of choose who you wanna partner with for the whole project, soup to nuts. And so then that kind of gets hashed out more in the contract part. This is, I think, a Miriam question, how deep you need to go with.
but wasn't
like-
that the holdup?
right, but we're doing,
We have a building.
we're doing a request for qualifications.
No, I understand, but isn't part of the request for qualifications that they show us
I think that,
apples to apples?
I think that they might not come back with the full sets of designs
Right.
for us.
It would,
Okay.
you would want to get a concept of their.
Right, 'cause if
I
they-
like where you were going
Yeah,
with
you
that.
wanna see a concept, and then you wanna know that they have expertise in the architecture and engineering services and all of that, because then they're gonna have to do full site plans, they're gonna have to do full architecture, engineering, they're gonna get all the building permits, they're gonna do all that, but you wanna know first what they're conceptualizing.
Yeah, like that they come back to us like geodesic domes in order to need it, you know, then we don't want them to build out the rest of the.
We're gonna
Yeah.
pick somebody,
But you're gonna get an idea of that from their past projects. Hopefully.
But this is specifically for this project. So I think that, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So maybe we're talking about design 20 and then adding another line that's like basically design, however that's going to be said. And it's basically strength of, maybe just keep that in as 10. The strength of the conceptual graphic representation. And we even have another thing that, as you pointed out,
Yeah, later on.
the familiarity with design, wellness, Shelter Island vernacular, you know, eco, green design, that's all in here.
Those are all part of design.
We can probably reorganize these so that
Yes.
they're clumped together with like.
Yeah, I think they could be reorganized, but I think that they're,
I think, yeah, just giving a new category that is whatever their
Design.
conceptual design is,
yeah,
and giving a big number like 20.
Yeah, I agree.
is-
that feels,
Feels like we can work with that.
okay. All right,
Because that's going to, I mean, based upon the meetings we did, that's critical to us.
Yeah,
well, you kind of have to have a big enough number around it, I think, that if you hate the design, everything else is great.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
can kill it,
yeah, that's right.
so,
so we just need the right language for
Yeah.
that one. Okay.
I think it went somewhere to what Meg was saying, concept of design.
Ben had sent us some notes around wanting to see if we would like environmental construction, sent some language. You know, we have put in eco and green design, and we did have quite a bit of discussion around this. You know, we can talk with Miriam as to like if there's additional language that needs to be in there. But this might be something that and my initial thought was, Ben, is this might be something that we negotiate in contract.
Yeah.
Because it feels we are quite broad. And so I did see your language, but I was wondering if there was, you know,
My feeling was that it was too broad, and you want to at least send the message that it's an important aspect of this project for Shelter Island. That's where I was going.
okay,
That, or even that the project could be easily converted for solar or some of these other things, because we may not have the money, or they may not have the money to spend to do solar with the original construction, but we might be able to get grant funding to put solar on the housing. So
Yeah.
there are ways that we can add and make them more green, but it's helpful.
like
to
solar
know that-
ready, yeah.
Yeah,
Can we use the word sustainable building practices?
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think we
Something, you know,
used, Yeah, I mean, we did say eco-green design, so we could just,
Right.
we could just flesh out what that means to us.
Mhm.
You know, I think would be like sustainable, solar ready, we could just build out that language maybe in the points.
Yeah, I mean, it's important that it becomes a discussion point because obviously it's going to affect the construction costs.
Yeah, and I think that that was one of the concerns that we were a little, we didn't want to insist that they like did solar panels or something like that when the margins are,
Oh, are thin, but they still have to know that they have to do something along these lines for us,
yeah,
otherwise.
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah, and so we do have that built in, and so I think it's just like, if we want to make that language more robust in our point system, there's an opportunity to do that. And so maybe we can take some of the items from what you've sent and we could make that more robust. It would
It's
be my
kind of,
thought.
it's a little bit, and I was thinking, what I was looking at is how we're doing the land lease and stuff like this in RFQ versus RFP. They don't know what grants we might, if you get,
Yeah.
for money, it may be a different proposal than,
Yeah,
And so how can we, and can we, signal that we would love to have everything solar and green if it's still financially viable, and that viability may be made available through grants that we're seeking.
Bidders conference.
Right. I'm just trying to, I don't want to, they don't, they're going to do the math in 10 seconds, right? And say,
Yeah.
none of this makes any sense unless there's a grant.
yeah, exactly.
And so why am I putting solar panels on
That-
something that loses money?
Yeah, so I mean, and that's kind of I mean, that is the tension in this, right? Because it's just like, the first thing you gotta, like, having it be green and is important, but the first step is you have to build it and then tweak it from there. And so making sure that we have the financial resources available for them to do it is,
So maybe that's something we ask of them, like, what kind of financial resources do you need to?
Well, that should be a key part of the RFQ. They should, for the financial side, they should be able to tell you what their bonding capabilities are.
Yeah, and that-
Their,
yeah, that is in there.
But that's them getting bonded, not financing the project costs.
Well, we do have in there, now I have to find it in here, there
Pretty vague
is,
language.
I added a whole bunch.
yeah, let's see, I'm trying to flick through yours.
We need to be a little careful about negotiating against ourselves, and we need to stay off their side of the chessboard. So, I mean, we should be able to ask for what we want by saying what's important to us and let them come back and tell us what they need to get us what we want. Just putting that out there.
Yes,
Right.
I think that's right, unless you get to the point where you do the math and you realize without some assistance,
Doesn't work.
it
It's not possible,
absolutely
and then
positively
you don't
doesn't
get-
work.
and then you don't get any bids, so
Right,
that is
so-
we're at that, we need to be
Balance.
aware of that balance, I think.
So some of the things I put in here is that they need to be able to develop a comprehensive financing plan, obtain additional leverage funds from private or other sources if necessary, obtain commitments from bond purchasers and tax credit investors for financing the project as applicable or as such commitments to be on terms with parties acceptable and approvable by the town of Shelter Island. What else? Did I-
Where's the? Found the ADU.
Yes, I mean, those are just the.
Might we want to add to that also what we were referring to earlier about, it's, I'm not sure how we do it, but that we will help guide them to some assistance?
That paragraph actually follows directly after that they need to
Oh.
have all their bonding and be able
Okay,
to,
yeah.
that they're financially viable before, and then it says, we will help you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The paragraph I don't remember.
Right, yeah. It's like,
You know, it's in a
it's like
void.
a bold one, it's like, no, we will help you
Yeah.
with financing.
Can I find it?
We'll help you with grants.
And then Meg, you brought up LIHTC credits, which would,
Yeah.
I started there 3 years ago.
I
This
figured
doesn't
maybe-
qualify.
Yeah, I was like, it's never gonna happen, but I wish it could.
Well, it doesn't work as a standalone. If it's.
Yeah, it'd have to
a
be-
Firm,
They could bundle it, but like it depends, but now we're looking at a bigger firm and that's on their side to figure it out. And I don't know if we'd even,
And that's,
if we're leaving low income, but like that's like a,
Right, so I'm just thinking that, just given the numbers without LIHTC, and if they do, great. I think we have to at least hint at, we'll work with you, to seek funding, because otherwise,
yeah,
it's why bother?
yeah, it doesn't make sense. I mean, one of our initial things is like, you'd have to have 2 million at least in outside funds to make it go. So,
I mean, if you get someone like Habitat for Humanity or an organization like that, there are some not-for-profits who might be able to bundle with other projects that they have going in Suffolk County or something, and then they could take advantage, but,
yeah,
we can't anticipate what we're gonna get.
yeah, they shouldn't build their, yeah, you shouldn't
No.
bank on it, because it's
No, I
like,
agree.
yeah,
That's why I was like, do we even qualify for this? I didn't.
no, we don't.
I figured you would know the answer, that's why I
Yeah, no,
asked.
I wouldn't. And then we also, just to that, we had a meeting, as I talked about, I think last meeting, our contact at the county has left, and so we had a meeting with her boss.
Yep.
To talk about basically a potential funding stack. So it looks like it's gonna be different than we thought, unfortunately, but, we'll have to stack a couple different things together.
And I think
Um,
what we did learn is we can probably combine the ADU plus one septic grant to help with the ADU portions, maybe? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, there's like a whole,
There's a whole bunch of-
it's gonna be a stack. It's not just gonna be the straight county money. We'll get probably part of that, which is like, anyway, we'll get part of that, then there's part of like a 30,000 per unit, then there's like a septic, you know what I mean? Like I said, it'll be a stack rather than the kind of what we were originally imagining. And, I mean, honestly, we've got 700,000 in the fund right now, which we were trying to save for our next project. But if we really got backed against, we're gonna be aggressive in getting to that 2 million funding stack. But we, maybe even by the time maybe we have 1 million, so we could, I think it could be plausible.
I just think as long as there's some hint in here that they say, we're cognizant of it. And,
Yeah.
I don't want them saying no to solar, because it doesn't make any economic sense.
Yeah.
I want them to put their best foot forward, and
That's why I
Yeah.
think sustainable building practices is a little bit, it's general, but it does include things like solar usually. So it gives you the room to even suggest it, if they want to suggest it, or ask us. And, I mean, that's part of the process, it seems. Right?
Or even just making sure that they design the structure of the roof so that it could handle solar if we were to get a grant to put solar on there, just making sure structurally that it's designed for that weight, something like that. Something as simple as making it so that it could happen in the future.
All right.
Quick question, do you know what time you're meeting on with Bill next week?
No,
Daytime?
we don't have it set yet.
Okay, good. I'd like to, can I come if I can?
Sure. Well, we'll set it up and we can see what matches with the majority of everybody's schedule.
Okay, well, good luck tonight. I've got to run.
Okay?
Okay.
you have to bring Bear though.
No problem.
Okay.
It's very well behaved. Giant fluff ball.
Bear and well behaved.
When he's in here, he's very well behaved.
I haven't heard that before.
So I did want to go over some more of Meg's. I just wanted to kind of address some of the stuff. So Meg had outlined, and I think everybody's on it, but just like some ideas for kind of the more specific tasks. And again, I think that that'll probably be great to review with Miriam, just to be like, hey, which ones are appropriate for here? Which ones are appropriate for a contract?
Yeah.
Right? And I just like actually don't know the answer to that. And so I just am trying to I want to make sure. Thanks for being.
Yeah, and I wanted to, it's kind of the same question as far as like wanting to set the expectations very clearly so that the bidder knows exactly what they're bidding on, and they also know what we're going to help them with and what we're capable of helping them with. So I kind of put specifics in on their side, but I didn't really do the same for our side, but I figured if Miriam said it's appropriate to put specifics in, we don't ask them for like how we would assist. But I figured it would be a conversation that we needed to have with her, because I don't know the answers.
Yeah.
I mean, so certain things, like I spoke with an insurance broker
Uh-huh.
and came back with a 5,000 a unit estimate of insurance. So if you're getting, 2,200 a month, right, for 12 months, and 5K is off the top
Yeah.
for insurance. Was thinking is the town must be able to get a cheaper insurance.
I mean, I think that one of the things that we had kind of talked about on the funding call was, like, I don't know if it would be something that we'd be able to come into with insurance, because technically the structures, I think, would belong to the person who won the bid. But like, I wonder, we were talking about, would there be a way to offset local taxes to maybe, free up some of that cash to be able to go to expenses like that? It might not be a,
Right, that was
Yeah.
the other question I had when I was thinking about the land lease are the properties going to be on the tax roll, and are you going to have property?
yeah,
tax?
so I mean, that's a question that we got to bring back to the town board, because, in kind of thinking about what that funding stack is, it's either can be like straight cash in or reducing expenses, right? And so
You can abate property taxes
exactly, so,
for the term of the lease.
exactly, so that,
You could plow, the town could plow the snow. There's a bunch of things we can do that, now, we don't know what the financing side looks like just yet, but there's a couple of fixes.
yeah,
And again, I'm just thinking, like, how do we line up as much fix? Because, so that when we do get the final, we can put sort of a fair, the town can do this, but we don't need the town to do this if somehow we've gotten some great grant
yeah,
and you do your magic and 8 million pops out of it.
I'm trying.
Still need to go to Vegas.
I know, so I'm still, maybe I'll take the 700,000 to Vegas and make this happen, maybe that's the key.
Right.
But I think that, there is something, as we probably issue this, also to go back to the town board to figure out what are things that the town could provide. Like you said, like, could we think about property tax abatement? Would it be appropriate to plow for snow? You know what I mean? Like, what are some things that the town, that wouldn't be a hardship to the town or necessarily a huge additional cost for the town, that would reduce the costs to make this work better?
Yeah,
Um,
and Sarah Lansdowne had some suggestions for that too, with taxes and things like that.
Yeah.
So we can reach out to her again and get a more specific path to some of those solutions so that the board can talk about them.
Yeah, and one of the things, so, you can actually do it through the county where you can abate it, or one of the things that she had suggested, and like on a previous conversation, was actually just to deal with it at the local level. She said that was actually probably potentially the much easier path, although I did speak to the guy at the county who is delightful, and he was just like, if you could get your town board to work it out, easier, but if you need to, call me, you know? So, you know, that might be something that we can kind of start with, like I said. But you know, that is something that we can, I think it would be, you know, there's kind of like these parallel tracks that I feel like we're on, which is just like getting this together. I do feel like we're quite close. You know, we had talked about trying to get this out, January, which I think is plausible, especially, I think if we especially get these edits in. I don't feel like we have any big material edits that we need to make here.
Just need to talk to Miriam, I think, and get clarification on things.
Yeah, and then we would bring it back to the board to issue, and then kind of once that goes out, I would also, depending on when we get closer, I would evaluate, obviously we would update the timetable, probably be
Yes.
similar, but since we don't know the issue date, I'm just not even gonna mess with it. And then the other track would be, once we get that out, then we're really, while we're kind of waiting for responses, we'll focus on the zoning. And then I think also be partnering with the board to kind of think about what are those items that, like I said, we can use to offset costs. And then we'll also be probably starting to, we've put some guidelines and in around what we think some of those contracts would look like. So we kind of know some things that are really important for us going into negotiations, but also knowing like what's available to us. Cool. Okay, so we have that. So let's just talk about what the next step is.
Can I just?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Just one small note. So we have here similar projects / community housing
Are you
experience.
on the points?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
great.
then we have previously completed projects compatibility and
Mhm.
appeal. Experience implies that you have already previously completed your projects. So what exactly is previously completed projects compatibility and appeal? What does that mean? I mean, experience
just
means
give me-
you already
yeah.
did it, so,
Well, hold on, just give me 1 second.
yeah.
So I think what we're talking about is the community housing means we're talking about specifically building affordable housing. And then I believe the compatibility and appeal is more about aesthetics. It was my understanding. I'd have to go back to our original notes of when we talked it all through and evaluated it, but that's my initial understanding of it.
It seems like the first question said, I did Southampton, and the second one is,
How does it look?
Is Southampton happy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how does it look?
Okay,
How's it holding up?
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Cool.
Are the people who live there happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Okay, sorry to
Okay.
interrupt.
No, that's a great, we want to
No,
make sure that
always.
we,
So on knowledge of Shelter Island, if they don't know what a hair licker is, they,
yeah.
they
They need to do their research before they come on over here.
lose 5 points.
Yeah, lose 5 points. So we will try to get with Miriam next week. Get this back out. I guess my thing is like, have we discussed all the major things that we need to see included? Does anybody have any?
My only add is that hint that the town is,
Yeah,
doesn't have to be, I understand can't be specific, but
Right.
a hint that we're there, so don't be afraid to, you know, be bold or have a high and a low or something.
that's a great. And then I think that also can kind of be probably verbally delivered because we do have a list.
Either way, as long as they
It's
understand.
easier at the conference, but I agree with what you said.
Yeah,
We got to get them to the conference.
Right.
yeah.
How are we gonna, how are people gonna find this?
Well, we're gonna issue, it's gonna be published, and then we also have had people reaching out to us asking when it's gonna happen. Great, so I've got people that once we get it, I've got to send them emails and call them and say, it's up,
It's up, okay.
go look at it, you know? What was the only other thing?
Wait, is there a anticipated timeline for, like, once we publish it, is it like 60 days, 90 days?
Well, it's whatever the timeline is that we established for the
the RFP, but I think we have.
It's not in here, but it was on the, whatever remember we went through they do this and then we do this and we worked
The
out.
first one was very aggressive and then it got a little less aggressive. We should review it again.
Yeah, there was something with a 10-day turnaround, and I'm like, I don't know
You're right, there was some I still thought was too
if, it
aggressive.
might, yeah, I don't know that people will be able to achieve that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was, we did revise it.
Right.
To make it much less aggressive. And so I thought that we had approved that. Do you guys want to revisit the whole timeline now? Because we
No, not-
can,
No, I think
but we
it's
would
just-
need to have it, we would need to have that now, we would need to do that right now.
We might be talking about different things. I was just in this on page 5, where it has the expectations, bold is at the bottom of the page. And it says, the housing board is seeking an all-inclusive, full-service development property management firm that is immediately available to commence pre-development activities within 10 days of contract signing.
Page 3.
Oh,
That's different.
Yeah, the housing board is seeking, under expectations, page 3.
So,
my pages are numbered, but I'm sorry.
that's okay,
I was like, 10 days might be too quick.
so I guess what I was kind of talking about was, the idea would be, it's the contract, but what I'm kind of thinking of is there's like a 6-month lead time before you get there.
Oh, okay, that's what I
Does that
wasn't
make
sure.
sense?
I wasn't
Yeah,
sure
so like if you
you're-
go to like page 13, which is the
Gotcha.
proposed thing, you don't even get to the selection for like, I don't want to say it's like 6 to 9 months. So
Yeah.
I should hope after that time that they should be ready to party
Yeah.
once they
Okay.
get selected.
That
So
makes way
that's-
more sense.
That's
was
that,
way- yeah.
and so basically, whatever the timeline was that we approved, which I don't remember, but I do have in the last RFP.
Yes, no, there was one.
I'm basically just gonna like, whenever we decide that we're gonna issue this, I'm gonna put the RFP issued, and then I'm gonna do, if it was like
Change all
2
those
weeks
dates.
from those, then I'm just gonna go down and just, I'm gonna use the same approved timeline. But yeah, that's the
Okay.
10 days from contract, that's what that
makes-
is.
That makes sense then, because I was just, when I first read that, I was like, I've never seen any contractor turn around in 10 days and be like, let's do this. They're
No,
always
but-
like, put it up.
It's already
Well-
done, it theoretically is all teed up and.
Right.
Yeah, because you've
Right.
already been like negotiating for months.
Right.
So regarding the thought about making it clear that we would try to apply for grants and things like that, we actually do have this note on page 3.
Yeah, that is the county approved, this is the
Local
space
grants
that-
and other municipal financing resources on behalf of the development. So
Yeah.
doesn't that cover the idea that,
And I think that this is the county approved language, so if we had to put in anything about county, I would have to take it back to their lawyers to get it
Right.
approved.
Yeah.
We could potentially add something about the town helping, but we couldn't mention what we were gonna help with. Or we can talk about, it could be verbally delivered of just like, hey, these are some ideas that were, available. But
I didn't like the sole responsibility part, right? So you've already done the legwork, maybe if they're, I guess if they're active in this space, they hopefully know more than we do. If they've done a bunch of these, so.
yeah, and that's kind of what we're,
They may have places they can go apply that we
Right.
don't even know about.
Right.
True.
So, I guess, but when you say sole responsibility, it sort of scares me. I understand it's their sole responsibility to finalize it.
Mhm.
It's-
well, because the issue is that we, even though we can help them find all the things, we can't, they'd have to. be
They have to
applicant.
be the applicant, right?
Right.
And this is Suffolk County language, right? So if
Yeah.
you changed it, you'd have to.
Go back.
Yeah, this is, I had to like write it, send it to Miriam, and then I had to send it to Suffolk County's lawyers, and then they had to move the
They
words around
tweet.
and they give it back.
Love it
to
if it said something along the lines of, we've done work on this, but in the end of the day, it's your, and we'll share with you. But at the end of the day, it's your sole responsibility.
Yeah, I couldn't get that approved,
Right.
but what I can get, I said, and again, a lot of these are folks that have already reached out, so that we'd publish this, and then I would probably personally reach out to these folks and say, hey, guys, it's up. PS, how we're thinking this would work is you would need to get the county funding of X and you need to look into Y. And do you have Sarah's number? Because,
Okay,
right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
The only other thing that I actually didn't have on the agenda, but kind of goes to the financing piece, was, and it was, Meg, it was something that we had talked
I
about.
did finish it.
Great, was the, now I'm gonna forget, the pro-housing community. Basically, we had talked about, from the last
Oh.
Association of Towns getting designated as a pro-housing community. So it can either be done through legislation or it can be done through paperwork, which Meg has worked on. But we were really thinking, it would be great for us because what that could do is that frees up a lot of funds on the state level, which we might need, right? Which we might need for this project, and if we don't need it for this, we'll need it for the next one.
Another one, yeah.
So it would be great to have it. And so Meg, what was your findings?
My findings, were that the state requires a 3% growth rate over the last 5 years, and the years they have chosen for this are 2019, 2020, 2021,
Yeah.
2023. Our growth rate over the last 3 years has been 2.56%.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, when you said you were gonna do the math, my gut said, I was like, you gotta do a resolution, and I'm
so you're gonna round up, right?
I would love to round up, but what I'm gonna do is a deeper dive into the building, applications. So part of it is that, like some of our buildings, like we now have, window small cottages, right? But that's actually a net neutral because you don't really gain any additional housing there.
Right.
You're just replacing existing. And so we've had a few projects like that, but then the ADUs have counted towards an increase. Some people have put in accessory apartments. The problem is the accessory sleeping quarters, I don't believe count.
Yeah, they shouldn't, yeah,
They're not, yeah.
yeah, I mean, can I just ask the question?
Yeah.
Was there a reason we can't just do the resolution?
That would be a question for the board. We can try to do the resolution. There's some language in the resolution that might be controversial when it comes to the public hearing. So we could try it. We can try it.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to add, I know you've been working on this since we got back from Association
Yeah.
of Towns, so last February.
Thousands of permits.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm just like, but I'm just, I gotta ask, there's two paths, there's this path, which I was like, I just, like I said, my initial math was we're not gonna
I knew it would
qualify.
be close, but I also knew that there had been a bit of a boom.
Mhm.
And in 2022, we were over 1% growth that year.
Mhm.
So it's well, if we have a couple years like that, maybe, but we were close a few years, but not. 2020 kind of killed us, to be totally honest. 2020 was a very low year.
Yeah, I mean,
Town issue
otherwise-
mini bonds.
We can bond. We haven't done it in a very long time.
Do you know what the rate would be?
Around 4%.
So.
That was the
4%.
latest, last I heard.
anyway, it's something to think about, is maybe revisiting that language, just because I
I
can't,
believe East Hampton is a.
Yeah, no, they did it.
community.
yeah, they did it.
I think it would probably be helpful to have a representative from the state come out and educate the public and the board on the program and what the requirements are and what it means. That might be helpful. So I'll talk to Amber about it.
Okay. Do you want me to reach out to East Hampton and see who they worked with at the state?
I think Amber has a meeting with all the supervisors from all the East End towns tomorrow. I'll bring it up to her tomorrow before she goes.
Perfect.
She'll talk to them there.
Awesome.
It's always easier.
Great. Because that would definitely be something to think about, just making sure that we're just using everything we got. I have my I'm all over the place tonight, but I found my ADU +1 check-in. It was
Okay.
behind
The other
something
stuff.
else, the other stuff.
In the pile.
It was in the pile. So I just wanted to give you the full update. So we have 10 that are basically in the pipeline, and we have a couple other folks that have just applied that are in the review process.
Okay.
So that's great. So, you know, we have 18 that we're looking to fill. So we have 8 total approved. Currently, we have 4 commitments. So obviously 2 of them are, one is finished, one is almost finished. We have 2 in permitting right now. They've already have their plans, they're getting that done. And we have like 4 other behind them that are approved, that are just kind of haven't signed the paperwork, but have gone all the way through. And then we have, like I said, another 2 behind that. So I'm pretty pleased with where we are. Like I said, we've started meeting every other week just to move those permits along.
Yeah.
And that, oh, actually, hold on, let's see, we got, do we have any old business that we haven't covered? Any new
No.
business that we haven't talked about?
I'll bring up one piece of new business.
Yeah.
Which is something I want to research.
Yeah,
But I know Nantucket, I sent you guys that solar panel thing.
yeah,
that was really
Nantucket.
good.
So I was on their website trying to find out more. Didn't find anything on that, but I did find they have a big program that is lease to locals.
oh, cool.
Program, they give cash grants to homeowners based on, you know, the number of occupants, as long as it's leased, you know, full year round. And it's like up to $27,000, so it doesn't seem like it's that huge amount of
good.
money.
You're right.
And, you know, I think they say, you know, we've placed 64 people in our program. So it's just
Interesting.
something, I know other places do it too, so it's something I want to do a little bit more
Out of
research.
curiosity, what, to put solar on a home,
This is not solar.
Yeah.
No, this
not
is,
solar.
this
Yeah,
is
there's
the
a-
lease.
This is like,
Makes sense.
instead of having a summer rental, you would rent year round.
oh, I'm sorry, so it's a supplement to.
Yeah, it's like a
You would get a-
supplement.
You would get a
Right.
subsidy, basically.
Right, to help cover.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
so I'll do some more research, I'll try to maybe figure that out for next meeting or
That
the
would be
meeting after
good.
that.
Yeah, because that could be interesting, obviously, we don't
Use
have
of our
to use,
funds.
if this, we don't have to use funds on this project. You know, we
It's
could,
starting to build up, so,
I know,
Yeah.
well, we need 2 million
yeah.
for this
Okay.
project, we have 700, it's gonna
We
take
won't-
us a
we
while.
won't spend it all, yeah.
But I like where you're going, but yeah, that could be really interesting.
Something to look at along with, you know, when we do our next survey.
Yeah, that
Is
that
this
actually could be,
appropriate? Would it
that
work?
would be a really interesting idea to bring up for our next
Yeah.
housing plan. I like it because it's like, it feels like it would be, I feel like it would be in like the spirit, like people were so supportive of like the idea of like ADUs and like, you know,
I think
private
it's just
citizens being,
Filling in those gaps
yeah,
to make things work.
Yeah.
yeah,
'Cause,
so,
I mean, I think we see what a big lift this
yeah,
project is, and I think maybe there's some smaller things we can start thinking about.
I like it, Fran.
That's great.
All right. You know, I like a tight meeting.
Yes.
8:00.
8:00.
Oh, actually, hold on.
He's on it.
Julie, do you have any questions for us? Any?
I'm okay right now, thank you.
All right, happy holidays. Meg, I know we talked, Gordon, do you have anything for us? All right. All right, so 8:00 and,
To adjourn.
oh, I love it when you make a motion.
To adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
I'm against it.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Great to see everybody.